There's a lot of uncertainty going on right now, and every one of us is struggling to find some sense of inner peace, some sense of tranquility of mind. There's a lot of uncertainty about the future, and I think everybody is really looking for an anchor, something they can hold on to, something they can stand on, something that can give them peace of mind and hope for the future. And I'm not sure exactly that everybody knows what that is. Meaning, I know that everybody wants that. I know most people at home are trying to figure out what's going to be for myself, what's going to be for my family, what's going to be for the economy, what's going to be for this country. And I'm sure if you watch news, they're going to amplify all those questions because that's what makes you watch. And then you watch more, and then they get better ratings, and then they increase the intensity of those doubts, and then it becomes more and more and more until you're sitting at home losing your mind and you can't leave. So what are you going to do with all of that? Within the language of the Torah, within the language of Chassidut, this anchor that everyone is looking for is called emunah. Emunah. Now, emunah is located in the innermost part of every Jew's heart. He's religious, he's not religious. He's Ashkenazi, he's Sephardi, he's Baal Tshuva, he's a convert. He doesn't know that he's Jewish. If his mother was Jewish, or his mother's mother is Jewish, and his mother's mother's mother was Jewish, they teach in the deepest wisdom that the innermost point of every one of those souls is this thing called emunah. Emunah. Rav Nachman says the entire exile of the Jewish people in Egypt was a lacking of emunah. We didn't have this, meaning we weren't in touch with this part, and therefore we were enslaved for that long. And therefore the key to redemption, the key to experiencing inner tranquility and peace in this time, not just that you are distracting yourself until this is over, but that you can actually, so to speak, dance in the rain, as I heard someone recently say. That you're not weighed down and bogged down by the external aspects of your life, which maybe up to this point have been the only thing that you have conscientiously thought of or attached yourself to. When in truth, there is an inner reality which is giving birth to what you see, and that inner reality is called Hashem. According to the Torah, Hashem did not just create the world in the beginning and leave it up to us. According to the Torah, and especially according to the deeper teachings of Kabbalah and Chassidut, Hashem's ratzon, Hashem's desire is the only desire. That means that every single thing that takes place in this world, whether it's good or it's perceived bad, whether it is pleasant or it is painful, every single thing that takes place from the beginning of your life until the end is Hashem's active, conscientious decision for you, based on three things: that he loves you, that he wants the best for you, and that he wants to bring you closer to him. Now, when you think about the things that go on in your life, whether it's the coronavirus now, whether it's physical health issues, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's issues getting married or having children, or having some sense of inner peace, whatever are your skeletons in your closet. So when you look on paper, you'll say it's not good. This can't be good. And if Hashem loves me and Hashem runs the world, he could have chosen a better way to connect to me. However, the real truth is, and if you could be honest with yourself and think about it, you'll realize that the only time that many people start to turn to something deeper in their life is when they hit a wall. When their body stops functioning properly, when their mind stops functioning properly, when their relationships are not working. This is not the way initially it should be, but this is the way that the human condition is. That, so to speak, we're very content with whatever is going on until difficulty strikes. But if we understand that the only good and the whole reason you're here to begin with is only to acquire this thing called emunah, which we're going to explain in a second what that means. Therefore, this emunah is this consciousness. This consciousness that Hashem is the cause of everything, that Hashem is purposely doing everything that takes place from the beginning of my day until the end of the day for me, in order to come close to him. Now, if we forget this final part, then we don't understand why Hashem does the things he does, and we think it's cruel. Why would Hashem make me sick? That doesn't make sense. But if the whole reason I'm here and the only good is to be close to him, that's the whole reason you were incarnated into this life to begin with, in your body, in your environment, in your circumstances, that this is the perfect situation for you to be close to Hashem, so then we can understand how it's good to be sick. Then we can understand how it's good to have issues in your relationship, because all of these things cause you to turn to Hashem. And the truth is, the highest point of every Jew's soul is called emunah. So in truth, Hashem wants to bring you to the deepest part of your own soul, the greatest part of yourself, which is this consciousness that Hashem is the one who's doing everything, and that you're being able to experience that and to connect to that and to become intimate with Hashem through that and to develop a genuine, loving relationship as a result. Many people think that Judaism is a religion. Judaism is not a religion. The only reason Judaism is called a religion is because there's so many religions that came after that. So now we get lumped into the group. Judaism is a relationship. Judaism and the Torah are giving you tips and advice and strategies to obtain closeness with Hashem, the source of existence, the root of your soul, the one who gave birth to you, the one who causes everything in your life. This is Emunah. When people translate Emunah, they often translate it as faith. Faith. We know that prior to Moshe Rabbeinu coming into the world and giving the Jewish people the Torah, the whole world only knew one type of faith, and that was believing in many different influences, many different gods. And those gods didn't care about them. And those gods were busy with whatever they were doing, and these people were down on earth just kind of at the whim of their decisions. And Avraham Avinu came along, and he said, it's not true. There is not many gods. There's only one God. And not only is there one God, but everything is God. And this is really the Jewish faith. It's not just that Hashem exists and that he's up in the sky somewhere. It's that you right now are within Hashem. You are experiencing Hashem from within him. Everything in your life is another revelation of Hashem. Hashem is not up in the clouds and he's not down below. You are within the reality which is called Hashem. There's a reason why it's called history, because it's his story. Meaning Hashem has given the Jewish people the main character role in his own story, the revelation of himself to something else. I know it's a deep point. It's something to think about, okay? We are the main characters. We are supposed to be tapping into this part of ourself called Emunah and experiencing the peace and the joy and the love and the connection that comes from that. And then once the Jewish people have been able to obtain and to acquire this quality of Emunah, then we are then able to shine it to the whole world, like the Torah says. So Emunah is the key. Emunah is the reason we're here. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, his whole mission was to teach the Jewish people Emunah, faith. But this faith is not a simple faith. It's not a faith that's based on lack of truth. Rav Nachman says explicitly in Likutei Moharan that when a person has faith in something and it's not rooted in the truth, it's destructive. Like we've seen with many religions that came as a result, where they wave the banner of their blind faith. And in truth, they've killed millions and millions of people through that blind faith. The Jewish faith is not blind. It's based on the deepest wisdom. It's based on the deepest truth. Now, it's true that you get to a certain point that the truth only takes you so far, but you feel comfortable at that point to move beyond truth and to access something deeper. When the Jewish people and the Torah speaks about faith, it's not talking about not understanding and just believing. It's talking about something above understanding. You know, sometimes you just feel something. You just feel that something is true. nobody can convince you it's not true. Like, for instance, if I tried to convince you right now that you're not really here, this is all in your imagination. Now, you can try and prove to me that you are, and you can bring many proofs, but I could bring many proofs to the contrary. Like Rabbi Akiva Tatz says, when you're in a dream, you feel that it's real. Nobody can come to you in your dream and tell you you're dreaming. You would say, no, I'm not. This is my life. So who's to say you're not dreaming now? But the truth is, every single one of us knows we're not dreaming. We're alive. And there's no way to prove that. Science can't prove that. History can't prove that. Nobody can prove that. It's something you know in your heart, that you are here, that you are alive, that you are real. There is something within every single Jew that's called emunah. This is not conscious, it's super conscious. You know, sometimes a mother, she knows what's wrong with her kids, even though there's no proof. She just feels that. So the Torah teaches because what she's accessing is something that's above consciousness. It's called bina. But there's something even above that, which is called emunah. Emunah is above consciousness. And the Torah is trying to teach us that in this world that it's filled with sickness, that's filled with disease, that's filled with war and conflict and controversy, that's filled with happenstance and circumstance, things always changing, going and coming. That world that we experience, the Torah calls it Mitzrayim. When the Jews were slaves in Egypt for 210 years, it wasn't just a physical place. Mitzrayim comes from the word Meitzarim. It means constriction. Rav Nachman says in Likutei Moharan, it's the place of nature. Meaning you feel that everything that happens in your life is happenstance. When you feel that things are just taking place, that things are just happening to you, that's called, you are living in the state of mind that's called Egypt. And we are slaves in that place. And Hashem said, you're not a slave. And he sent Moshe Rabbeinu to take us out. And he said, you guys are free. But you have to leave Egypt to experience that. Egypt is not just a place, it is a state of mind. That state of mind is, I believe that there's only nature. Now it's unbelievable because Rav Nachman said this 200 years ago. And yet, in society now, this is what the whole world believes in, only nature. Even when Rav Nachman was alive, the majority of people believed in God. Even then, they had faith, some level of faith, in whatever they had faith in. 200 years later, the majority of people don't even believe that there is something which is creating reality that is above us. Rav Nachman said 200 years ago, that the final war is not going to be a physical war. The final war that everybody's concerned about, that the Torah speaks about, is that atheism is going to sweep the world over. Rav Nachman said this 210 years ago, that atheism is about to sweep the world over. Now, in his lifetime, that was not the case at all. But 210 years later, the majority of Jewish people don't even know that Hashem exists and the role that he plays. Rav Nachman, in his prophetic way, said this 210 years ago, 220 years ago, that this would happen now. And I'm a prime example. I was a self-proclaimed atheist my whole life. How did that happen? And now what's the key? The key now is to develop emunah, to go back to our source, to go back to our root. This time now is showing each and every one of us that we do not have control of our lives. And even though it looks like we're at the whims of nature, and that's where all the fear and the anger and the sadness and the confusion comes from, that's not based on a true reality. That's based on what it looks like. That's based on Mitzrayim. That's based on Egypt. But the Torah is saying there's a place inside of you that's called the land of Israel. And that's the place of emunah. That's the place in faith in Hashem, not just in blind belief, but a deep felt, conscientious experience that Hashem is the one who's causing everything in your life. and that the reason he does it is because he loves you. And it's only in order to bring you closer to him. And Rav Nachman teaches this is the key to peace of mind. Rav Nachman says explicitly in Likutei Moharan, you know why the majority of people are not close to Hashem? That they don't want to be Jewish, that they don't want to do the mitzvot, that they don't want to learn Torah. So you're going to hear many rabbis, they're going to say, oh, it's because they don't want the responsibilities. Oh, it's because they don't want to take these things on. They don't want to give these things up. Rav Nachman said that's not why people are not close to Hashem. It's because they're not happy. And why does Rav Nachman say they're not happy? Because they don't have peace of mind. Rav Nachman says the whole reason the Jewish people are so far from Hashem is because we lack peace of mind. Because when a person is in a state of peace of mind, he's able to think clearly. And if he's able to think clearly, Rav Nachman says he can be happy. And if you can be happy, then you can be close to Hashem. Who says it's a prerequisite to be happy to be close to Hashem? The Torah says it. Every single one of the prophets, the people who experience very deep levels of emunah, of super conscious connection to Hashem, the Torah says clearly in the Gemara that they had to be happy in order to be prophets. The Torah says you have to serve Hashem b'simcha. You have to be happy. Because a person who's not happy can't think clearly. A person who's not happy, his mind is in nature. He can't think beyond his circumstances. He's like an animal who's always being attacked. How many of us feel every single day on edge? How many of us feel every single day that I'm at the whim of my medical condition, I'm at the whim of nature, I'm at the whim of society, I'm at the whim of my job? That every moment I feel threatened. The Torah teaches that this is the slavery that the Jews had in Mitzrayim. This is the same slavery we have now. I grew up feeling like this. I'm still working through it. Every single one of us is stuck in this paradigm, and the Torah teaches this is called slavery, and we all know that because we feel it every day. We just don't realize how to get out, and we don't realize there's another way. The Torah says there is another way. And it's the whole reason you were created. And that's called emunah. To develop a very deep belief that's not based on blind faith, but it's based on the deepest truth. And it brings you to a felt realization, a felt relationship, a connection with Hashem, where He's more real to you than anything in your life. Like you can look outside right now, you see it's nighttime. The Torah teaches you how to get so close to Hashem that you could bet your life on it, just like that you could bet your life on the fact that you are alive right now, that you are conscious, that you're not dreaming, that Hashem is real, more real than the fact that it's nighttime right now. Now the question is, how do we get there? The obvious question is, this sounds great. I would love to have emunah. I would love to access this deep place inside of myself so that I could feel tranquility, so that even when the greatest difficulties are going on, I'm calm. I had a student that came up to me. He's not my student, but he was in the yeshiva that I learned at. And he knew I was very into Rabbi Nachman. When he first met me, he was knocking him. Why is everybody going to Uman? People who are in Israel should stay in Israel. You know, why would everybody be so attached to one person? Whatever, we had a whole nice conversation about it. But you see, he was just trying to nudge. And I just calmly told him, like, his teachings bring life. His teachings make you happy. His teachings make you feel close to Hashem. And the mitzvot in the Torah are only to make you feel close to Hashem. The Zohar says that the 613 mitzvot are 613 pieces of advice to bring you emunah, to make you feel close to Hashem. Now, months later, after that conversation, we didn't speak. He didn't want anything to do with whatever I was talking about, and we didn't talk. And then months later, he said, so David, I just want to talk to you for a second. I said, sure. So he said, I want to get a little bit more into the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. I'm interested. I actually saw Rav Shalom Arush recently, and I had a whole conversation with him. And I saw it was deeper than I thought it was. But the one thing that was bothering me, and even though it was amazing, I just had this weird feeling from it, that the whole entire time I was with Rav Arush, he was happy. The whole entire meeting, for the hours that we were all talking together, he was happy and smiling the entire time. And he said to me, David, isn't that weird? Isn't it weird for a person to always be happy? That this is what Rabbi Nachman teaches, that he can get you to the point that you feel always happy? I said, you don't want to feel like that? He said, but is that normal? So the Torah teaches that the norm of humanity, of society, is called slavery. And what's not normal is to be free. And to be free means you're happy. Rav Nachman teaches you how to be happy. He teaches you how to have emunah. Now, how do you do it? This week, we're focusing on this inner quality that's called Hod. There's 10 main qualities of the Jewish soul. 10 main divine qualities within your soul, powers within your soul. Now, you need to be conscientious of them to tap into them, to connect to them. Last week, we spoke about Netzach. That was the first day that we all talked together. Netzach is the concept of boldness, spiritual boldness, to pursue your dreams, no matter what the difficulties, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what the challenges, and not to give up and always to get back up again. That's called boldness, simply. This week, we're talking and focusing on an opposite quality. That's called Hod. Hod is not a boldness. It's not an assertiveness. It's not an aggressiveness. It is a state of surrender. It's a state of gratitude. It is a feminine quality. Many people, when they think about masculine and feminine, we think about men and women. But spiritually, to be masculine means to be assertive. And to be feminine means to be receptive. Now, this does not mean social roles. Women have both aggressiveness and receptiveness, and they need both. And men have assertiveness and receptiveness, and they need both. But spiritually, to move outward is male, and to move inward is female. This is the reason why Shabbat is a female word. It is a female word. What's the reason? Because Shabbat is a female concept. It's the time where you go all the way in. And Shabbat, by the way, is the revelation of Emunah. So we see Emunah itself is a female quality. It's a receptiveness. It's not an aggressiveness. However, Rav Nachman teaches that the key to being able to experience Emunah is these two qualities of Netzach and Hod, of boldness or assertiveness and receptiveness, gratitude and submissiveness. These two things together. And when you use both of these, what we'll call your right and your left arm, when you keep flexing those two muscles, you develop what's called Emunah, super conscious awareness that Hashem is causing everything in your life, and that is the cause of inner peace and of tranquility of mind. And this is the key to the redemption. So obviously, this is a very important thing. And this week, we have a special ability to tap into the gratitude part. Tomorrow night is the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He was the writer of the Zohar, which is all the deepest mystical secrets. It's the main source of Kabbalah. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's Hilula is on Hod Sheba Hod. That is the gratitude of gratitude. It is the inner of inner. So we see there that the ability to tap into this very deep emunah is connected to this quality of gratitude. Now, what does that look like practically in our life? How do we switch off between Netzach and Hod? By the way, just today for your the Hashgacha Pratit, the divine providence, the meant to be, is that today is Netzach of Hod. Tonight is Netzach of Hod. So we're going to focus on both. How do we practically have boldness and gratitude within the same day, within the same moment, within the same experience? How do we flex those two muscles practically? So Rav Nachman says you do it in Hibodedut. We've spoken about this multiple times since we started. Hibodedut, for anyone who does not know, is this private, intimate conversation that you have with Hashem every day. Rav Nachman says that every Jew, man, woman, adult, child, should have a conversation every day with Hashem. And he says at a minimum, it should be an hour. Now, obviously, that sounds like a lot for people who have never done it. However, once you acquire Amunah and you realize that Hashem is the source of everything, so it doesn't really make sense to do anything else besides do that. Why? Because you need to pay your rent. Who's paying your rent? It's not your boss, it's Hashem. Who's the one who caused you to be sick? It's not your own lack of health habits. It's Hashem. So if Hashem is the cause of all of the good and also all of the seemingly negative, what else would you do besides ask Hashem to give you health, to give you sustenance, to give you peace in your life, to give you faith? Whatever it is that you're looking for, Hashem is the cause of all of it. That's what Amunah is, to acquire that experiential understanding. It's not a simple blind faith. It is super conscious experience that Hashem is the cause of everything in your life. This comes through Hibodedut. Rav Nachman says clearly in the Likutei Moharan many times. How do you acquire Amunah? By talking to Hashem. If a person wants to experience that Hashem is the cause of everything in his life, and it's because he loves him that he's doing everything, and that he wants to feel attached to that reality and have that inner peace, talk to him. Rav Nachman says, you want more Amunah than you have? Talk more. You want even more? Talk more. It's completely reciprocal. The more you talk to him, the more you're going to believe in him. What's the reason for that? It's not psychological. It's a very deep spiritual phenomenon, because the mouth is the vehicle for revelation. Just like Hashem created the world, he said and it was. He said and it was. Why is Hashem saying and it was? Why didn't he think and it was? Why didn't he hear and it was? Why does the Torah say that Hashem is always saying and it comes into being? Because Hashem is teaching us, the Ramban says, that that's how we create in our life. We create with speech. Now, Rav Nachman says this is not just a new wave psychological phenomenon. At its deepest sense, it is a spiritual reality that when you talk to Hashem about what you want in your life, those things happen. Because you need to talk in order for them to come into reality. Rav Nachman says there's many times that your healing is hovering right over your head. Your parnasa, your livelihood is hovering right over your head. But you can't experience because you don't have a vessel for it. You need a vessel to experience that light, that blessing. What is the vessel? The vessel is Amunah, is faith. And faith comes with talking. The more you talk to Hashem, the more you're going to believe in Hashem. What should you be talking to him about? So Rav Nachman says you need to flex these two muscles constantly. That is called Netzach and Hod. Where do we see a precedent for this in the Torah? How do we know Rav Nachman is not just making this up? So I want to show you how obvious it is, how clear it is, that once you see this, you're going to be like, wow, this is incredible. How did I not realize this fact? Who took us out of Egypt? Now that we understand that Mitzrayim was not just a physical place, but it was a state of mind. A state of mind that my life is run by nature and coincidence. That's called Mitzrayim. That was the slavery we're in. Who took us out of there? It was Moshe and Aaron. Within Kabbalah, it's taught that what is Netzach? It was Moshe. And what was Hod? It was Aaron. What did they do? They gave Amunah to the Jewish people, and that's how we left Egypt. Who creates Amunah? Rav Nachman says it's this boldness and this gratitude. That when you flex these two muscles, which we're going to see in a second how you practically do that, you create Amunah and you're free. You have peace. You're in the land of Israel, even if you're not living there. What was Moshe like and what was Aaron like? Last week we did Moshe because it's very connected to Moshe Rabbeinu. It's very connected to Rabbi Nachman. Moshe, when he was confronted with difficulties in his life, he didn't say, thank you, Hashem. He never said, thank you. He never said, okay. He never said, I acquiesce to what you said. Moshe Rabbeinu screamed and complained and accused and advocated for a change. I went to school for social work, and the essence of being a social worker is to advocate for change. This was Moshe Rabbeinu. His sole quality was to advocate for change. How did he do that? By screaming to Hashem. that when he was sent to take the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim, meaning out of believing that all there is nature, and the Jewish people suffered more when they tried to acquire faith. So Moshe Rabbeinu came back to Hashem. He says, why are you doing these bad things to your people? He literally said, Ra, why are you doing evil to your own people? You sent me to save them, and they're suffering more now because of me. Why would you do that? Now, when you think of how am I going to pray to Hashem, how am I going to talk to Hashem, how many of us talk to Hashem like that? But Moshe Rabbeinu says you have to. And Rabbi Nachman says you have to. Is Moshe the only one who did this? No, Abraham Avinu did the same thing. The first Jew, when he prayed for the city of stone, which was the worst place in history, the most terrible, disgusting things were happening there. Horrible things that if you tried to support another person who didn't have money, they would burn you alive. And when Hashem wanted to destroy that city, because there was nothing good about that place, there was nothing positive about that place, they were only bringing darkness. Abraham said, how can you do this to them? Are you not just? There's not one good person who lives there that's worth saving that city for? David HaMelech spoke like this to Hashem. Ad matai, until when? How long are you going to do this to me? I don't know what happened to us that we started to think Hashem doesn't want us to speak like that. We need to speak like that to Hashem. Hashem loves that, Rabbi Nachman says. Rabbi Nachman, when he used to pray to Hashem, he used to say to Hashem, I'm doing my best right now. You do the rest. You make me money. You give me peace in my relationship. You help me with my kids. This is my best. I'm doing my best. You play your part. Rav Nachman says every Jew needs to talk to Hashem like this. Rav Nachman says when you come to do Ibodedut, when you come to talk to Hashem, you should bring every argument, every complaint, every avocation for yourself, like a lawyer coming to defend himself. Why are you doing this to me? My greatest prayers that were answered instantaneously was when I screamed out to Hashem and I asked for a change. You can't be scared. That's Netzach. You need to be bold. But how do we know it's okay? Because Hashem loves it. The Midrash says that Hashem loved when Abraham spoke to him like that. That when Moshe screamed to Hashem, and Moshe said, wipe me out from the Torah if you're not going to be doing good to the Jewish people. Take me out. I don't want to be a part of this. If you're going to keep doing this to the Jewish people, no matter what they do, I'm done. Take me out. I don't want to be your redeemer. And Hashem said that was the greatest moment of Moshe's life. He loved that. He actually put us in that whole situation so Moshe Rabbeinu could scream like that to Hashem. If you're going through a difficulty or a challenge in your life, stop holding it in. And stop blaming your wife. And stop blaming your parents. And stop blaming your kids. They're not the cause of your problem. The doctors are not the cause of your problem. The nature of the world is not the cause of your problem. Hashem is the cause of your problem. Go talk to Hashem. Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Hashem, help me overcome this. Hashem, I've been sick for years now. I don't want to be sick anymore. Help me to be healthy. I have no peace in my home. I have no peace in my mind. Rav Nachman says every day you need to knock on that door and you need to talk to Hashem and say, I need help now. I need help now. That's called Netzach. Rav Nachman says this is half of the equation to building Emunah. That when you speak to Hashem like this, you acquire this super conscious faith. That you realize that Hashem is with you at every moment. What is the other quality? The one of this week, which we have a special ability to tap into within the Ibodedut. That is called Hod. Gratitude. Now, while this is going to sound like a paradox, Rav Nachman says that besides that boldness, that complaining, that advocating, that screaming to Hashem for a change, you also need to couple that with thanking Hashem for everything. Not just the good in your life, and definitely the good in your life, but also, and definitely, and even more so, the seemingly bad. I'm sick, Hashem. Thank you for making me sick. That even though I don't know why you made me sick, and even though this has been the greatest cause of difficulty and challenge and tribulation in my life, and I would never wish for this on anybody else, I know deep down you would never do anything that's not good for me, and I don't know why yet, and I hope you show me one day. But I want to thank you in the meantime. Thank you, Hashem, that I can't have a child. Because even though you want me to have children, and even though I so desperately want to have children, I can't have children right now because you haven't let me. It must be that this is good for me. So in the meantime, until you let me, thank you for it. Thank you, Hashem, that I can't get up from bed this morning. This is called gratitude. This is called Hod. Gratitude is not just thanking Hashem for the good in your life, which you have to do. It's also, Rabbi Nachman says, thanking for the bad. Because the bad is not really bad. We just don't know that yet because we're in Mitzrayim. We have to thank for everything. When I was in my very deep depressive episode and I came out, it was because of these two things. I stopped resisting my circumstances. I stopped going to see doctors every single day. I stopped trying to figure out why I was depressed. And instead, I thanked Hashem for my fatigue. I thanked Hashem for my tiredness. I thanked Hashem that I couldn't function. I laid in my car, even though I was supposed to be working. And even though my job on paper is not hard, I sit down and I learn. I mean, obviously, it's the hardest thing to learn. The Gemara is very hard to learn. It's the hardest thing to learn, but still, it's not hard like working, the work that you're normally used to. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't do anything. So as opposed to going to see doctors, and as opposed to going and trying to resist my life, I went into my car, and with tears coming down from my face, I said, thank you, Hashem, that I have a car to sleep in. There's many people who are outside right now who they do not have a place to sleep, that even if they were tired like I was tired, they would have to sleep on the street in front of everybody. Thank you, Hashem, that I could do it in my own car. Thank you, Hashem, that my car is rather comfortable. I don't have leather seats, but they're comfortable enough, and I could sleep in my car. Thank you, Hashem, that my boss is understanding, that he understands my mental health issues, that he understands that I'm going through a difficult time, and he's saying it's okay. Thank you, Hashem, that my rabbi believes in me, and he knows I'm going to come out. Thank you, Hashem, that my parents never gave up on me, and every day they continue to fight for me, and that my wife didn't leave me, despite the fact that for 3 straight years, I'm having trouble getting out of bed. Thank you. And I could tell you, within a week, I started to feel better. Rav Arush will tell you he wrote a whole book about the miracles that people experience in their life, that for an hour every single day, just thanking Hashem, not only for the good, but for the problem itself. I remember when I was a social worker, and I was working in Ohel in Brooklyn, I had a client there, and even though I wasn't really doing therapy there, I did it anyway, because I feel like it's my mission in life to try and help. And I can't see a person suffer and struggle and not try and help. It's just not in my nature. And I ended up having a very long conversation with one of the people there who was with me. He was a young guy. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He was the youngest person there. He had no connection to his parents. He was homeless. He was a nice guy. He was really smart. He had a good heart. And he was just going through the most difficult, brutal time. And I told him, because it was the beginning of my my learning Rabbi Nachman's teachings, and even though I was still struggling myself, I felt solace in this. I felt hope from this. I told him there's something called hibodedut. And Rabbi Nachman says to thank Hashem for your problem, even though you don't want to, and even though it's the source of your pain in your mind. Thank Hashem for the problem itself. He started to look into it, and he saw that Rav Arush says that if you thank Hashem for the problem itself for 1 straight hour every day, that problem is guaranteed to go away. So this person, like many people who suffer tremendously and have no hope, they're actually the greatest candidate for redemption, because they're able to do something that nobody else would do, which is to, for an hour straight, say thank you for my problem. So after I left that company, I didn't know what happened to him. I wasn't connected to my clients then. I got a call a couple of years later from one of my former coworkers. And he told me, one of your clients has been trying to get in contact with you for a while now. Can I give him your number? And I said, of course. So it was this person. And he told me, David, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. You don't know what an impact those conversations had on my life. After we spoke, I have spent 2 hours every day for 2 years thanking Hashem for my bipolar disorder. And he said that even though I am not out of the woodwork completely, I am so much better, to the extent that Rav Arush allowed him to write an article on the Breslov webpage for them, talking about how much better he got by thanking Hashem for his bipolar disorder. He now lives in an apartment in Brooklyn. He is in the process of finding a job and looking to get married. He still has issues. We all have problems. But he is getting better. And this is available to all of us. Even when my rabbi died 4 weeks ago, if this was any other time in my life, I don't know how I would have reacted. I was about to teach a class. It was the last class of the week. It was a Thursday night. And right as I was about to teach the class, I got a text from one of the guys in my kollel saying that Rebbe passed away. And I said, I'm so sorry, guys. I just have to take the camera off for a second. And I'm just sitting there looking, and my wife is looking at me and said, what's going on? And she sees me just to start crying. And I told her what happened. And she said, Rebbe would want you to teach this class now. I said, I can't teach this class. Now my rabbi just died. I didn't even know he was sick. He saved my life. She said, he would want you to teach the class. Think about it. So I did. I took a few minutes. I washed my face. I came back and I tearfully taught that class. And it was one of the deepest, most powerful classes I taught. And the beginning of what I taught, even though I didn't know this was what I was going to teach, the whole chapter that we were learning of Rav Natan Likutei Halachot was about tzaddikim that pass away and how to mourn for them and how important their loss was. And I saw that Hashem was giving me a kiss and telling me, I know your Rebbe passed away. And I know he was a very big tzaddik, and you should know that too. And I left after the class. I got through the class. And I said to my wife, I'm so sorry, I have to go to the car. I went to the car, and I would never have done this years ago. I cried hysterically, and I said to Hashem for a half an hour, thank you for 4 years of Rebbe. Thank you that I had 4 years of Rebbe. Even though my mind and my body is telling me to say, why are you doing this? How could you do this? And that's for later, and you can do that. That's the boldness. But I thanked Hashem. Because who says I deserve to have those 4 years? Who says I deserve to have 1 year? Who says I should ever find a rabbi who should help me so much? You know, this is a very big yesod, and this is a very important thing for everybody listening to understand. And especially in America. America is built on rights. There is a Declaration of Independence, and it's built on your right to happiness, your right to own a gun, your right to pursuit of whatever it is that you're looking for, rights. In the Torah, you'll notice there is not one place in the Torah that it says you have a right to anything. Not once are you going to find in the entire Torah that Hashem says you have a right to something. Only does it speak about your responsibilities. No rights. What does that mean? In essence, simply, it means that whatever you have is a gift. If you can see, it's not your right to see. It's a gift that you can see. If you're married, it's not your right to get married. It was a free gift. If you had health for 40 years and now you're not healthy, you don't deserve to be healthy. It was a gift. And it's now a gift that was taken away, and you have other gifts and you can get that gift back, but it's a gift. I didn't deserve to have somebody to teach me how to be close to Hashem. I didn't deserve to have someone like Rebbe to teach me how to be simple and how to be grateful, which is what he taught me more than anything. Every single day that I saw him, he cried from happiness from the simplest things. Every single time that he prayed, I saw him pray, he would cry. And I said, why are you crying? Is everything okay? Every day I came up to him, are you okay? He said, yeah, why? I'm happy. What's wrong? I said, why are you crying then? He said, I'm just so thankful. Hashem gives me everything. And you look at him, he didn't have everything. He was traveling hours every day and back. He didn't have health. He had tremendous tribulations and trials in his life. Tremendous isurim, difficulties with his family, with his students, with himself, with everything. And he was only focused on this good. I remember one day he just came in the morning and he said, he called me over and another person over. And he said, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. We were like, for what? He's like, last night I was just thinking to myself as I was going to sleep, how lucky I am to have people like you in my life. We're like, Rebbe, we didn't do anything for you. He said, you guys are so nice. You're so good to me. What are you talking about? He taught me gratitude. Rebbe Nachman taught me what it was in theory, and Rebbe taught me what it was in real life, what it looks like. To say thank you for everything. And to realize that everything is a free gift. Because the only difference between Rebbe and the only difference between Rebbe Nachman and us is that we live thinking we have rights to things. Because the media teaches you, you have a right to a job, you have a right to happiness, you have a right to X, Y, and Z. And so we pursue it to the end. And what are we met with? Depression, anxiety, fears, sadness, concerns, confusions. Why? Because it's not true. You don't have a right to happiness. There's a gift called happiness that Hashem could give you. But it's a gift. It's not a right. We don't have a right to anything. Now, while that might sound concerning, it's the most liberating thing. Because then you realize everything that you have is a gift. You woke up today, that's a free gift. You didn't have to wake up today. Your wife made you breakfast. Your wife didn't have to make you breakfast. You know how many people don't have a wife? You know how many people's wives don't make them breakfast? You know how many who do and they give them burnt toast? You don't have a right to anything, and even that's a free gift. Put some jam on it and enjoy. Everything is a gift. That's called hod. When you flex these two muscles, that you thank Hashem for the good and also for the difficulties, and then you proceed to ask Hashem for a change with every fiber of your being, advocating for yourself like your life is on the line. When you do your hibodedut like this, when you have a conversation like this every day with Hashem, Rav Nachman says, you will have emunah. This is how you get emunah. You don't get emunah by learning Torah, even though you need to know the truth. And even though the truth is what allows you to pray in this way. But it's not the cause of emunah. Rav Nachman says the cause of emunah is netzach and hod. It's flexing these two muscles. It's kicking these two legs, which is, again, gratitude for everything. Thanking Hashem for everything in your life. Was your shower hot today? You're going to say, why would I thank Hashem for that? I have hot water because I paid for it. Well, who brought you to a first world country where you always have hot water? You know, the majority of countries, even Israel, the water's only hot for a little bit and you have to get out. How long did you stay in your shower today? How long could you have stayed in your shower today? Did you ever say thank you to Hashem that your shower is as hot as long as you want it to be? You know how much of a gift that is? That's one thing. Did you ever check your fridge recently? Is it fully stocked? Do you know how many people do not have fully stocked fridges? I can go on and on and on. The Torah teaches you, stop overlooking your life. You're looking for all these things and you're missing your life. I spoke to my mom today. It was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom, again. And she was talking about that with the coronavirus, you know, she got a gift from one of her friends, from one of her coworkers or one of her employees. And she left her strawberries, I think, in her front door. That was it. That was the gift. And it made my mom so happy to give her such a simple gift. And my mom said, it's amazing how much the little things make you happy. And I said to her that really Hashem is putting us in this quarantine now to realize that the little things are actually the big things. And that the big things are really the little things. That the job and the success and the achieving whatever you believe you deserve to achieve, these are the small things. This is not reality. What is the real things? The little things that are really the big things. Your family, your wife, your children, your parents, the fact that you have anything, Every little thing. I remember when I met my wife for the first time, I went to Israel. I couldn't believe how happy they were. They lived in the smallest apartment I had been in, and they all lived there. And they didn't have as much means as people I was used to, and they were the happiest by far. What was the reason? Because they had something called hod, tamimut, simplicity. It wasn't the fact that they were not intelligent, they were very smart. But they are thankful for everything that they have because they don't think they deserve anything. Because the Torah teaches everything is a free gift. And they live like that. And therefore they're very happy. And not only that, it gives you emunah. The key to emunah, again, and then we'll take questions, is that do hibodedut. Take a time every day that you talk to Hashem. Even if for you it's 10 minutes. For 5 minutes, thank Hashem for everything in your life. Things that you never thanked Him for, never thought to thank Him for. And not just the good, also your problem itself. Thank Hashem for the problem. And then after that, ask Hashem for a change. And don't ask meekly. Don't say, Hashem, please help me. Scream. Literally scream. Rav Nachman says you should scream at the top of your lungs. Like a mother whose children are in danger. How would she scream for their help? That's how you have to scream for yourself. Hashem, I've been sick for 6 years now. I need your help. Where are you? I can't go another day like this. I need your help now. But that's after you think. This is very important I'm saying this. Why? Because even though Moshe is Netzach and that comes before Hod, meaning boldness comes before gratitude, but when you pray, gratitude needs to come before boldness. Because what happens is, if you are saying to Hashem, why aren't you helping me, before you thank Him for everything in your life, you can easily go into despair. Because you're only thinking about what you don't have. So therefore, what do you need to do first? First, make it very clear that Hashem is in your life by thanking Hashem for everything in your life. Then it's going to create in you a sense of joy and a sense of feeling of peace, a sense of feeling that Hashem is giving you many things. And now I feel comfortable asking Hashem for these things, and it's not going to cause me to go into despair because I know I have those things I just talked about. So very simply, what do I do practically from tonight's class? And this is one of the best suggestions I could possibly give you. And Rabbi Nachman stresses this. And this is the reason why the people who learn Rabbi Nachman's teachings, who truly learn them and practice them, are the happiest people you ever met in your life. It's not because they're crazy. It's because they have emunah. And how do they have emunah? It's because they talk to Hashem every day. And what are they doing when they talk to Hashem every day? They are flexing these two muscles called gratitude and boldness. Holy chutzpah. What does that look like? Half of the time, I'm thanking Hashem for everything in my life, the small things, the big things, and especially my problems. And then I ask Hashem with everything I have, with screaming, with tears, with emotion, with power, with might, as my greatest advocate for a change. And if you do this every day, you will acquire emunah guaranteed. And that emunah is not going to be a blind faith. It's not going to be something that leaves you when difficulties strike. It's going to get stronger. That when the coronavirus comes, you're going to be happy. I was speaking with one of the guys in Sion. He's actually my chavruta in Kollel. And we were talking about the fact that it's so interesting that the majority of the world is going crazy right now. And me and him were talking about the fact that we feel more peace now than we ever have in our life. What's the reason for that? Because actively, every single day, we're trying to be close to Hashem. And when you have Hashem in your life, not just in a vague belief, but real, true relationship, it doesn't matter what's happening because you know it's from Hashem. And you know that just that yesterday, Hashem didn't make the coronavirus, and that was good. Hashem's now making the virus and making us stay at home. It must be just as good. Now, I don't understand why it's just as good because I'm not God. But having emunah means I trust in that. Now, how do you get to the point that you can trust in that? You cannot will yourself to emunah. You can't learn emunah. You need to talk emunah. When you talk to Hashem, you get emunah. But what kind of talk? Gratitude and holy chutzpah. If you can only do 5 minutes to 2.5 minutes of gratitude, 2.5 minutes of holy chutzpah. If you can do 10 minutes, do 5 minutes of gratitude, 5 minutes of holy chutzpah. If you can do 20 minutes, do 10 minutes of gratitude, 10 minutes of holy chutzpah, and so on and so forth. Every single day for the past 4 years, I've spent almost an hour or more thanking Hashem for everything in my life and asking Hashem and demanding a change for the things that are not right, that I'm not happy with, that I don't believe in, that I don't think Hashem wants. And these years have brought tremendous blessing and faith and connection, not just spiritual, physical, everything. Emunah is the key to everything. When you have emunah, you're not in Egypt, you're not a slave. You can be in the coronavirus and you can be living in the land of Israel. You can be free because your place is not dependent on what's happening. Your place is in your mind. Your mind is developed by your emunah is developed by ibodedut, your ibodedut is developed by gratitude and holy chutzpah. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the class. This is the second week we've done this. Next week, we're going to speak about the quality of Yesod, Yosef, which Rabbi Nachman is very connected to the tzaddik, and he has a lot to say about this. Very important teachings. Let's take questions now to end. You should have questions, and if you don't want to say them out loud, text it to me. And if you want to say out loud but without your face there, so take your face off. But Rabbi Nachman says when you come to learn, learn in order to do. Don't just learn to be inspired, because that inspiration is going to leave you. Don't just learn for intellectual curiosity, because that's also going to last temporarily. Learn to do. Ask yourself, what can I now do with this teaching and practically apply it in my life? I have a question here. How are we to balance speaking boldly with having fear of Hashem? Meaning, how do we maintain the fact that we have awe of Hashem without overstepping our boundaries? Because we know the Torah says that you have a mitzvah to have reverence for Hashem. Just like you have a mitzvah to have reverence for your parents, just like you have a mitzvah to have reverence for your wife. So the student's asking a good question, and many people struggle with this. How do I keep that reverence if I'm talking to Hashem like that? The answer is you're revering Him by talking to Him like that, because Hashem wants you to. Reverence means you do what the person wants. How do you revere your wife? By acquiescing to her. If your wife would like you to do this and it's going to help her, and you do that, that's called having reverence or respect for her. You respect her by doing what she asked you to. Hashem asks us to talk to Him like that. Therefore, we have reverence for Him by speaking to Him like that. And in fact, yira, or awe, comes from emunah. So therefore, we're saying like this, how do you ever get to the point that you actually have the yira? The yira that you think you have is fallen yira. It's not real fear. It's fear that's based on anxiety. It's fear that's based on fallen thoughts. That's not the fear the Torah talks about. The Zohar says that when a person has yira, he has yirat Hashem, he has fear of Hashem, he has peace. But that's not when I feel when I have fear. When I have fear, I have the opposite of peace. Because the fear that we have is not holy fear. The Torah's fear is called awe. It's called reverence. And it's the key to peace. And Rav Nachman says explicitly, you can only have yira through emunah. You can only have fear of Hashem that's holy when you have this belief. And that belief comes from what we spoke about tonight. So that's the answer. We can only be bold like this because Hashem wants us to. Not simply because we want to, not because we're desperate, but because Hashem Himself wants us. Rav Nachman says, Hashem's your dad. Hashem's your mom. Hashem's your parent. How would you speak to your parents if they were causing your situation and you wanted to change? Would you say, Dad, it's been okay lately, but I'd really like if you did this? No. You would scream. You would cry. You would say things you regret the next day. You would ask them for forgiveness the next day, but you'd be really happy that you said and you got it off your chest. Hashem wants you to talk to Him like He's your dad. Rav Nachman says very clearly, when you talk to Hashem, wipe away all sophistication. Don't think about meditations. Don't think about attaining something. Talk like a child who's crying out to his father. And the key to emunah is this. And the key to happiness is this. Someone asked me a question. How do we know when Hashem answers you? What kind of sign may we receive? When you have the answer to your prayer. When you pray for something and you get it. That's how you know Hashem answered you. Now, obviously, you could get signs up until that point. But Rav Nachman makes it very clear, Hashem is very simple. He's not sophisticated, and he doesn't want us to be sophisticated. You want to know if you got your prayer answered? Is your prayer answered? If it's not, it means he didn't answer it yet. It doesn't mean he doesn't want to. It doesn't mean he doesn't want what you want. It just means he hasn't answered it yet. So keep asking for it. Many people say, how can I keep asking Hashem for the same things every day? He doesn't give it to me. That shows a lack of gratitude. But we learned from Moshe Rabbeinu, he prayed 515 times to enter the land of Israel, to bring the Jews into the land of Israel. Now, Moshe knew Hashem better than anyone who ever lived. So how is Moshe asking for the same thing over and over again? What type of chutzpah is that? And the answer is holy chutzpah. Hashem loves that. And so people will say, yeah, but Hashem didn't let him enter the land. He said, stop. So the answer I always give is, did you ever hear Hashem tell you to stop? The answer is no. So keep going. When you hear Hashem tell you stop, okay, so good, you have a reason to stop. Until then, don't stop. Keep asking for it. Don't ever give up on your dreams. For Hashem, it's not hard to give you what you're looking for. He just wants you to find something in the darkness. What he wants you to find is Amunah. Because if he gives you the thing before you have Amunah, then you have nothing. And you came here for no reason. But when you develop Amunah, when you find faith in the darkness, then you'll know why you're here. And you will find the goodness within the challenge. And you will thank Hashem afterward, not just because Rabbi Nachman told you to, but because you will actually thank him because it was the greatest thing that ever happened to you that you went through this. Somebody asked me, how do we know that what we're praying for is right for us? What if we received an answer, but in reality it's very toxic for us? That's why you need to learn Torah. Because the Torah is the truth about what's good. So when you pray to Hashem, you don't know if what you're saying is actually good for you. Therefore, the only way to know what's really good is to learn Torah. Why? Because the sages say that there is no good besides the Torah. That means that whatever is good is in the Torah, and whatever is not in the Torah is not good. Like the fact that we said that there's no such thing as rights in the Torah, it means that rights are not good. Responsibilities are good. If something doesn't exist in the Torah, it means it's not good. So how do you know what's good and what to pray for? You need to learn Torah to find out what's really good. That's the answer. And also, simply, and this is a way of being simple and always connecting yourself to this simplicity, say to Hashem, I don't even know that what I'm asking for is good for me, but make it good for me. I always say this to Hashem. Hashem, I'm begging you and crying to you for this thing, but I don't really know if it's good for me. Hashem, even if it's not good for me, make it good for me. Sometimes I'll give people advice, like I'm answering questions right now. Afterwards, when I talk to Hashem tomorrow for an hour, I'm going to say to Hashem, Hashem, if I did not give them good advice, make that it was good advice anyway. Because it's not hard for Hashem to do that. There's nothing that we can do that can change the cause of reality. Hashem is the cause. If Hashem wants this advice to be good, it's going to be good. If Hashem doesn't want this advice to be good, it's not going to be good. This is Amunah. When you realize that no matter what's going on, no matter what nature and circumstances and medical conditions you have, nothing has to be. Hashem is creating the world, Maaseh Bereshit Tamid. Every moment He's recreating the world. And the fact that it looks the same is an illusion. It's Mitzrayim, it's Egypt. When you realize that the world is a new creation in every moment, and just like Hashem made you sick in the last moment, or for the last month, or for the last year, or for the last decade, He can easily make you not, because the next moment is a new world. Maaseh Bereshit Tamid. Someone said to me, but isn't that against Kibud Av V'Em? It is against Kibud Av V'Em with your parents, but it's not against Kibud Av V'Em with Hashem. This is actually the deeper reason why Rav Nachman says when you talk to Hashem, ideally you should speak to Him like He's your best friend. Because you have no chiyuv not to talk like that to your best friend. You can talk to Him like that. So therefore, when you come to pray the Amidah, right, the formal prayer with a minyan, or if you're a woman by yourself, So that's not the time to talk to Hashem like he's your best friend. However, when you talk to Hashem alone, secluded, away from your distractions, away from all of the stresses in life, away from friends and family, then you need to talk to him like he's your very best friend. And when you do this and you ask Hashem for everything you need with fire, with energy, with no fear, and at the same time you thank Hashem for everything in your life, you will acquire emunah, and there's a very good chance you'll get an answer to all your prayers, because emunah is what's necessary for the prayers to be answered. To the degree that you have emunah, to that degree your prayers are answered. Many people don't understand emunah, faith, is not just a belief, it's a vessel. It is the main vessel. That means that when a person doesn't have faith, he doesn't have a vessel to receive blessing. So if a person's looking for health, or he's looking for children, or he's looking for a partner, or he's looking for inner peace, the vessel to receive and experience that is faith. And if you don't have faith, you can't experience it. I'm not going to get too Kabbalistic right now and explain what that is. Those are for the Likutei Moharan classes. But just simply suffice it to say, it's a reality. When you have faith, then you have a vessel to receive the things you ask for. If you don't have faith, you can't receive those things. And the faith comes through the gratitude and through the holy chutzpah. Any final questions before we end tonight? No?
I have a question. What
cause of a person
can I ask?
Health problems, and what is the reason it happens to a person? Yes, Hashem is the cause. What's the reason? Because the only way that your soul, which is reincarnated into this world, into this lifetime, into its circumstances, can experience and to rectify and to heal and to attain wholeness in what it needs to, you need to go through those mental health issues. How can I say with such certainty? Because I'm that person. I went through multiple depressive episodes that lended me to getting ECT, electric convulsive therapy shock treatment, being in a psych ward, and being locked up for months. Why would Hashem do this to me? The answer is, it was in that place that I found emunah. It was in that place that I found life. But that was only when I started to say thank you, and I started to rely on Hashem for everything. And then you see the good in it.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
The word amen. What does amen mean?
Good question. Many
The
people
depth
think
of
amen
it, maybe, too.
I believe it, brother. That is not what amen means. That is from some Christian choir show that you watched recently, okay? This is not what amen means. Amen means it's true. In fact, amen is the root of the word amunah. Amunah is not blind faith. Amunah means belief in the truth. This is for the Jewish faith. It's belief in what's real. When you say amen, you say it's true. When somebody says Hashem, you should bring the Geula, and everybody says amen, it's not because we want it to happen, it's because we're saying that will happen. Hashem is going to do that. It's true. When we say Hashem is going to heal all of the people of the world, and he's going to bring peace, and we all say amen, it's not, oh yeah, brother. That's not what we're saying. We're saying it's true. It's going to happen. It's a fact. Amen. That's what amen means.
Amen.
Any other questions? Okay, guys. For the rest of the week, we have Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday night our men's Likutei Moharan classes. Again, this is the deepest wisdom that we have available to us: spiritual, physical, psychological, emotional. Whatever you're looking for in your life, Rabbi Nachman has it in Likutei Moharan. I promise you, okay? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday night. We started 1 week of those classes. They have been incredible, really incredible. Wednesday night is our women's only class. So if you're a woman and you're watching this class, besides this Sunday class that we have for men and women, we have a women's only class on Wednesday nights. Last week, we spoke about why we need a tzaddik in our life. That was an amazing class, thank God. We're going to speak about something beautiful as well this week, Bezrat Hashem. If you have any questions about these classes, when they are, where they are, how can I connect, how can I be a part of this? If you resonate, if you feel that this is true, and it's not just something that you want to taste, but something that you actually want to be a part of. So everybody look at what's there. Sion Breslev Project at gmail.com. If you want to look at these videos afterwards, they're all posted on the Breslev Research Institute YouTube page. We're in the process this week of creating our own Sion Breslev Project YouTube page, creating a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. Yes, a lot of amazing, exciting things. Any questions, email sionbreslevproject@gmail.com, and we will give you the answers, Bezrat Hashem. This is, even though it's a very difficult time, this is a very exciting time, I promise you. You just have to find the Munah. And tonight is the key to doing that, okay? I wish everybody an amazing, amazing week. And I can't wait to see the men tomorrow and the women on Wednesday. And we do this again next week. Don't waste the day. Don't waste a moment. Nothing is given. Everything is a free gift. Take advantage of every moment in your life. Say thank you to Hashem and ask Hashem for what you want deepest in your heart. Hashem will answer you. Thank you so
Time
much.
women's class.
The women's class is at 9 p.m. It's the same time every night. 9 p.m. Wednesday, same exact website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If a person